Hey, Paul,
Yeah?
don't make any plans for June 24th.
Why? What's going on?
Hopefully, what will be the best piece of media to hit my eyes and ears in the entirety of 2022.
But Indiana Jones isn't coming out for like another few years.
It's not Indiana Jones.
Oh, what is it?
An Elvis biopic.
Another one? Hey, you beautiful people, and welcome to Eat a Fix, a podcast about a couple hyperfixating on obscure pop culture. I'm your co-host, Paul Unger.
And I'm your co-host, Jess Unger.
And today we have a bit of a shorter episode, and Jess is at the helm of this hyperfixation. You see, a new trailer dropped a week or two ago, and Jess has been thinking about it non-stop. So Jess, tell us about what we saw.
Well, the Baz Luhrmann Elvis biopic trailer dropped, and I think it looks amazing, and I am super excited for it.
There's been at least one or two other biopics that I remember that have come out.
I think there's two that I am aware of. Oh, three, if you count Elvis and Nixon with Michael Shannon and Kevin Spacey.
Oh, yes.
There was one released with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
I'm terrible with actors' names, so probably.
You all know who he is. Anyway, one, I think, made for TV with him in it, and then another one with some lesser-known actors with someone who should not have been chosen to play Elvis at all because there was absolutely zero likeness. We actually tried to watch it, and it was horrifically boring.
Oh, yes, that's the one I fell asleep during.
Yes, it was very, very bad, and the actor was terrible.
Oh, well, guess go me.
Yeah, you had the better idea. This one, though, looks to be... Of course, it's a trailer. It's a very small snippet. That does not speak to the rest of the movie. However, I'm sure we'll revisit this and also release a review of the movie once it comes out. There seems to be quite a bit of accuracy.
At least visually,
yes.
It seems to be. Because we have Tom Hanks playing Colonel Parker with his weird Southern but not Southern accent.
And it was extremely accurate, but I mean, it's Tom Hanks. You can't really expect less than greatness, I feel.
And then we have Austin, I am blanking on his last name.
Butler,
doing Elvis. And from what I saw, at least it seems to be a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, his face is a little long. You're not going to get anyone that's going to look 100% like. But from the small bits of dialogue that I've heard, it's pretty good. He does a really good job, and he looks really good in the leather suit in the 1968 special. So.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that it seems to be like there's a kid Elvis, there's early amateur night stage Elvis, and then we get Las Vegas 68 special scene. So looks like they're kind of covering the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
With the exception of the movies, it seems like there was, like, I even went and looked through the entirety of the cast to see if there's any reference to Hal Wallace or anything like that.
Yeah, I did too, and I couldn't find anything. I do hope, I guess, that they have something in there about it. It was a very large chunk of his career and his life, so it wouldn't make any sense to not reference it in there unless Mr. Luhrmann chose to focus his time elsewhere and tastefully omits it. I don't know.
I think most of seeing that his filmography has him doing Romeo plus Juliet, basically Romeo and Juliet with guns, the Moulin Rouge, which had a can-can version of Nirvana. We had Australia, which made Australia be very, very oversaturated.
Interesting.
Color-wise.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we had the visually overwhelming, but somehow still a little boring Great Gatsby.
Yeah, I could not. I think it also might be because I did not like the story of Great Gatsby to begin with, so watching it play out was just like, ugh, now I have to watch the people do this and not just read it.
But the one thing I do like is the fact that his filming style is just so loud and so visually interesting. I don't know if I like it. I just know that I notice it. And when a someone in the industry has a very distinct style, it makes me want to see what they do when they get larger budgets or as they move on with their career. Like James Gunn, he keeps on making interesting films that kind of push his own style.
Okay.
I'm going to butcher his name. Taika Waititi?
Yeah.
As he gets more money to do his projects and less oversight on them, he makes some really wild things, but really good stories.
Yeah.
And it just makes me really interested when there's someone who has a really distinct style that keeps on getting work. So I am so interested to see how this turns out, because there's only some slight allusions to some neat camera work.
Yes, there's a lot of close-ups from what I can tell. There's a lot of close-ups that we could see, at least in the trailer. Again, that doesn't speak to the rest of the movie. It was very hard for me to pick out what I wanted to pick out from it. Again, we'll have to watch the movie. When it comes to things that are my hyperfixations or things that are very near and dear to me, a very important thing to me, if you are going to put it in another form of media than the one it is originally in, or in this case, if you're going to take someone that I hold near and dear to my heart and make a biopic about them, the first thing I'm going to do is look for absolute accuracy. Is it so far off it's going to take me out of the experience, or is it good enough that it's going to fully immerse me in it? Which is why I really loved Bohemian Rhapsody. It was phenomenal. Rami Malek did so well for Freddie Mercury. It set the bar really high. So I am terrified going into this movie about someone I love more than Queen.
That's a big statement.
Yes, but it's my statement. Yeah. It does not apply to anybody else.
No. I wasn't saying that in a...
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, yes, it's a bold statement for the average human being. Mm-hmm. Me, however, I'm a weirdo. So yes, is it going to be so far off that it's terrible, or is it going to immerse me enough to actually believe in what's going on? However, in what little we do see, Austin Butler took on actually quite a bit of Elvis's mannerisms, to the hand movements, to the constant jaw clenching and unclenching, which he did. If you've ever watched an Elvis movie, go do it again and watch his jaw. It's constantly clenching and unclenching. I have a feeling it's due to nerves. It was something he did as a result of nerves, but he's constantly doing it. And I'm sorry if that shatters anything, because he does it in every movie and you won't be able to unsee it after. Like you guys watch them for fun, like I do. I don't know. Anyway, yes, that, or his way of speaking, his inflection, his tone. I'm excited to see it all.
Yeah. And I'm very curious to see what they do with the Colonel and his character, because they kind of didn't allude to any of his awful behavior in it.
Yet.
And I don't want them to whitewash his behavior in this biopic. And I really want Tom Hanks to have a villain arc for 2022.
Oh my goodness.
Because aside from the emotional trauma from the Polar Express, the mental anguish that caused, like, almost 20 years later, and the fact that I haven't seen Lady Killers yet. So
my god, it's so good. I wouldn't even call that a villain arc. That's an accidental, like, tried so hard, but no.
So
we need to see it. Okay.
I haven't seen him be a bad guy. And maybe he has. I haven't seen all of Tom Hanks's work, but I haven't seen him be a bad guy, and I've seen most of his stuff. So I'm kind of curious to see him act like that.
This will be an interesting bad guy as well, because this is, I don't want to say one of the biggest bad guys, because Lord knows there are dictators in history who far outshadow this. But where media is concerned, and music, and things like that, and even things involved with Elvis, he's about as bad guy as they come.
Like, cartoonishly so.
Yeah, like right down to the 50-50 split, which we love so much. Mm-hmm. That right there alone is a red flag. And somehow he convinced Elvis that it was worth it because he made him who he is, and he felt it was more than fair.
And there were so many of his movies that had the plotline telling him otherwise. It's baffling.
Yeah, but at the start, Elvis was not a smart man. He was not very intelligent. Partly because I think he had a very smart manager who knew how to play with Elvis's mush brain. So, but you are correct. It is going to be extremely interesting to see how he plays this very villainous, very appearing to have a heart of gold and have his client's best interest at heart, but is really just squeezing the cash cow for all she's got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I won't lie. Seeing you be excited about this has gotten me excited about this.
Me watching it on the couch with my knees up to my chin. Yep.
Well, like usually for the most part, hyperfixations have come in like pop culture. Like I'll sit down and be like, okay, so Dark Souls, and here is why on Orlando it represents X theory. And you have put up with that for a lot. But there's sometimes when it falls into like news or like just local stuff going on, and it kind of gets darker and kind of gets bleaker just when you start looking at all of like stuff in a large picture. So seeing you be excited about it has kind of been like that nice little thing to kind of latch on and be like, what are your other thoughts about it? So sometimes it's nice to have someone else be super excited about something so you can just kind of latch on to that life raft to kind of find the enjoyment again.
Well, and the thing with that is, only recently have I come to stop being so embarrassed about it and hide it and try even myself to pretend it doesn't exist because it's so embarrassing and what have you. And being able to kind of be loud and proud about it and not ashamed and wear it on my sleeve and most importantly t-shirts is kind of making it a little brand new for me because it's not something I have to do in secret anymore. I don't have to like squirrel away gathered knowledge and forget about it because I'm trying to hide it, you know? It kind of all feels new again. And it's all making me so excited and that this is happening in my lifetime. A modern version of this with better camera work and like a modern director and modern actors. And I'm losing my mind a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a comparison though between Randy Quaid's Colonel, which was already so very good.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. It was already really good to see what Tom Hanks does with it.
Yeah.
Because he was unexpected. When I heard it was him, I was like, really? I don't know how I feel about that. And now seeing the trailer, I'm like, I feel really good about this. I'm just so excited. And they got like right down to the kid who plays young Elvis. They did it so well. He looks like he's out of all of the pictures. I'm obnoxiously excited about this. Okay.
It's been nice to see. So, as far as our schedule goes, I know that we are going to be trying to keep to our bi-weekly schedule going forward. Sometimes with a longer episode, sometimes with a shorter episode, just to make sure that we get back on track as we get our sleep back.
Yes, now that we finally found something for the youngest that works.
We will be back 2 weeks from now with a brand new topic to discuss. So, until then, remember to like what you like.
No matter what the mean kids say.
Bye.
Bye. Big thank you to Ethel and the Androids for the use of their song Used to Know You for the intro and the outro. You can find the link to their SoundCloud in the show description, as well as all our links to our social media. And thanks for tuning in and listening to our podcast. If you like the show, be sure to review and subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice.